County Board of Ethics to order at 12:30 p.m. on November 25th, 2024. Please silence all cell phones. I'm your chair, Steve Sturdivant, in my office, remote and alone. I'm going to take roll call of the members present and request that you state your name and if you are in a remote location, who is present with you. Katie Schroeder?
This is Katie. I am in my home in Lahaina alone.
Very good. Carol Swan? Michael Lilly?
I'm at my home alone.
Chivo?
You're on mute, Chivo. Chivo, you're mute.
Yes, my whole thing just disappeared for a minute. Okay, I am at my office, Chivo Ching Johnson. It's nice to be here. I am in the room with Chris Dack, who is across the room and wearing headphones like I am while he's editing. So it's confidential. Thank you.
Okay. Randall Leach?
Home alone in Kihei.
And let's see, do we get back anybody else? So Caleb Rowe, he's our corporate counsel, as well as Tabitha Martins, our board secretary. Looks like Carol Swan and Scott Parker are not in. Is that correct?
Yes.
So we have a board of 5. Okay. All right, so we have quorum, so let's move on to public testimony. First on the agenda is public testimony. Public testimony is limited to 3 minutes per testifier. If you are unable to conclude, the testifier may request additional time if approved by the board majority. All participants are asked to mute their audio and video at all times except when called on by the chair. Tabitha, do we have any public testimony?
Yes, we do.
Okay, can you let us know when 3 minutes are up?
Yes.
Good afternoon and happy Thanksgiving to you all. My name is David Nakamura. I'm an attorney. I represent Lance Taguchi. I noticed an agenda item on the complaint that was filed by Christopher Salem as scheduled for executive session. I don't know whether now is the proper time for me to testify, but to keep it short, I'm just very confused about where you are, where this board is along this continuum of reviewing the complaint filed by Mr. Salem. I've requested several documents and videotapes at some prior meetings, haven't heard. But more fundamentally, has the board found, my question is,
I got a point. I'm afraid you're talking about, hold on.
complaint 24-10.
We need to create a team for the pig for this gifts guide situation. We want to update for 2025. Hi, Scott. Scott, do I need to do anything? I have to ask you any questions? Like, are you in your office alone?
Correct. And I'm
Okay.
present. Sorry, I had an issue with my sound, but it's fixed, I think.
Okay, thank you. So back to the pig. Who wants to volunteer for that? The gift guide. Okay, I got a Katie. Katie wants to volunteer. Who else?
Chair, how many people are you looking at?
3 people? 2 people? More than 1?
Yeah.
Did Randall raise his hand up there? Did I see him like, no, he didn't? Okay.
I think it was his arm being twisted.
Randall, come on. All right, so does the board nominate people to do this, or what do we do from here?
We can nominate those that didn't appear.
So,
What kind of a,
And Chair, just as a reminder, you know, at our last meeting, we did authorize Tabitha to send out the gift guide that we had produced last year. But there was some comments about how we would like to potentially update that. And so that's why we put this on the agenda. I would also say that the city and county of Honolulu recently codified their gift guide. So they now have legislation that's in place about how to do that, and that's potentially an option. And I think that might be something that we would consider. But we are going to need a smaller group, I think, in order to effectuate that.
Yeah,
I would like to ask Captain Lilly to join me.
in addition to my other pig job. Well, I envision, by the way, I envision this pig is doing a deep dive into the gift rules on Maui, and also looking at what Honolulu did by way of
Penny,
legislation.
do you have to go to Kihei today?
And
So, opportunity to learn.
Your mic is on, we can hear you.
that
Pretty
needs
easy.
to mute
But
her
you
phone.
don't have a old key anymore to call Kai.
Can we, there we go. Thank you, Kat.
can I ask a question?
Yes, Jibo.
How much, roughly how much time and interaction do you think that it would take? I mean, I know that depends on how deep the dive, but I'm quite busy, but I would be happy to volunteer if it's a matter of studying those Maui's, our old guide and the Honolulu guide, and then discussing it with other members.
Katie,
So
do you have any idea?
I think that's ultimately going to be up to the board. We normally send out our gift guide soon before the holidays. And so, you know, we if we're going to be staying on that schedule, we have approximately a year. And I think, you know, that's up to you guys about how deep and how heavy you guys want to get into it.
Okay.
I asked a couple months ago for Tabitha to put this on our agenda because in my notes, I saw several iterations of it, and I was just trying to clarify what was the most current and if it, I guess, satisfied everyone.
so if I can summarize, we're looking at taking a look at our current gift guide and seeing if it needs to be updated so that to the extent that it's consistent with and has enough information in it to reflect what the current rules are on Maui with respect to gifts, but also to take a look at a macro level to see if we could recommend any changes in legislation like Honolulu did to strengthen our gift rules.
Well, I'd like to motion that we put this on the table it until mid next year, and then get back into it since one's already been sent out for the holidays. What do you think, Katie?
Why can't we start with the
Oh,
pig?
that's fine.
Why can't we just assign a pig?
We can,
Yeah. I will volunteer.
okay.
All right, I guess I'll join with Katie and Chivo.
There we go.
So the charter will be to look at our current gift guide to see if it's adequate, and secondly, to see if we can make some recommendations for improvement to the legislation.
So the motion is for the PIG to be established for the gift guide with Captain Lilly, Katie Schroeder, and Chivo being on that PIG. You have a
Second.
Do I have a second? Okay,
I said,
okay. Captain Lilly seconds. Any discussion? Any more discussion on it? Okay, let's move for a vote. Looks like it's unanimous. All 6 of us are raising our hands. Motion passed.
Thank you.
Okay. So the new business would be PIG update report. Mr. Lilly, do you have an update?
a pat on the back to everybody. The charter amendment for full-time staff for this Maui Board of Ethics was granted, was approved by the voters on Maui, and it will become effective July 1, 2025. And between now and then, we're going to need to develop all the plans, the budgeting for getting staff to staff it up as soon as possible after that. And in December, the chair and I are going to meet with the managing director to talk about it, but there's a lot we have to do. We've got to create positions, and we need to find a place, and then we'll need to budget. We need to have a budget for all of the full-time staff and have that all in place and ready to go July 1.
Yeah, and I think what we need to do is figure out who we're going to be talking to, because I imagine it's just not all Josiah and Nishita. It's going to be people that work with him on personnel as well as finance, as well as just in general, trying to figure out how do we get a computer? How do we get all these little things? Do we just buy them? And how do we buy those things? So it'll be an interesting meeting.
Yeah.
So good. Anything else?
No, I think that's it, except for the next line item.
Okay, yeah, but you know what? I think we really need to celebrate what happened.
Yeah.
It was an amazing show of electoral votes that they want to support us in this endeavor. So it's really
Well,
good.
if I could add there, I've been involved in the legislative process for decades at the county and state level, and coming up with an idea and getting it passed, and then not only getting it passed through the council, but getting it passed by the electorate. It's a monumental task, and usually they fail. And so I have to thank all of the council members that unanimously have supported us on this. So
yeah,
it's a great development.
All right, so the next item, 4B, is chairs confidentially. We just need to talk about confidentiality of the Maui County Board of Ethics investigations.
This came up last session, and we talked about, we get so many inquiries. I've had council members, members of the public, especially if it's a high profile thing, ask me about whether we're involved in something, and so we recommended that we come up with a press release to explain why we have confidentiality and where the confidentiality rules apply. And so that's this. It's in your packet there, and I move that we approve it and ask Tabitha to have it distributed.
I'll second that.
Sorry, just to clarify, by distributed, do you mean you want this to be issued as a press release
Yes,
or?
a press release.
So it will be going to not only Civil Beat, but other newspapers, everything? Or how's that work?
I'm sure the Corporation Council has a distribution list for press releases, or the county certainly does.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, me and Tabitha will work with the communications team for the county in getting this sent out.
Yeah, it's important
Thank
that
you.
it be made public, but also be distributed to our council members.
Mhm.
I have a question. Do we need to include the fact that once approved, our minutes are available? If someone has a question, that they can go to our website and look at minutes or actions.
That could be added.
Mhm. I think that's a good idea, as a matter of fact.
Yeah.
I would like to mention one thing briefly on that. Akaku does post the recordings, the regular session boards and commissions. And we have been posting them to archive.org for general distribution, but they were hacked. And so we took everything off. And now we're trying to go back through and add all of those boards and commission meetings back into a new firewalled archive.org. So it's a one by one upload. We tried to do bulk uploading and it did not work. So we might put into the press release that they can be viewed on akaku.org. And if they have questions, we'll give that phone number or whatever, if they can't find it. So they can watch past meetings or meetings. When Civil Beat called, I had told them, for past ones, you can go to the website, and for current stuff, we don't talk. So, but they seem to be aware of that anyway. Thank you.
okay, so those two changes, Tabitha, can you make those changes, or do you want us, like Michael is the one that actually wrote it, do you want him to do it and send it back in?
I think maybe Caleb and Tabitha could just add those and.
Understood. Yep.
Okay, thank you. So this, it's been motioned and moved and seconded, and so let's vote on it. If all in favor, say, raise your hand. It's like we have all 6 votes, and motion carries 6-0. All right. So now we're going on to 4E, which is review the financial disclosure statements of elected and appointed officers and candidates. Scott Parker, do you have some information for us?
Yeah, unless anybody has anything that they wanted to call out, I would move to accept the FDS for Gina Young. As director.
Point of order. We skipped over two items. 4C. I move that we approve the draft minutes.
Oh, yeah.
Second.
Sorry about that. I'll second that for approving the draft minutes. Any discussion? Okay, let's call for a vote on that. Approving the staff minutes, draft minutes. Okay, motion carries 6-0.
And then 4D,
Or the discussion on the hand.
or 3D, excuse me.
Thank you, Chair. I think when we discussed this at our meeting, it seemed a little bit duplicative with 3B, and we just put them both on the agenda. So I'm not sure if you guys want to have additional discussion on requests for information.
I think we already discussed that.
Makes sense.
Well, the one thing I would add on there is once we have full-time staff, the public and public employees will be able to contact our executive director, legal counsel for information in the future. So.
Okay, so is there any multiple items on that? Do we need to move on
No,
4D?
no, we can move on,
Okay.
I think.
Okay, we'll move on to 4E. Now, Dr. Parkey, can you tell us about Gina Young?
Yeah, sorry for not catching that
It's all right.
a little bit earlier. So yeah, unless anyone found anything that I might have missed, I'll make a motion to accept the FDS for Gina Young, Director of the East Maui Water Authority.
Hey, all in favor, raise your hand.
I second.
Okay, motion carries 6-0. Moving on to 4F, we have lobbyists.
Yeah, move to
Resignation?
accept or move to acknowledge receipt, sorry, of the terminations of Stephen Jacobson, Todd Apo, and Keone Kuoha, and their affiliated organizations.
Second,
So moved. Okay, all raise your hand for acceptance. Like, yes, we're all motion passed, 6-0. Okay, so can I get a motion to recess from the regular session and go into executive session?
so moved.
And
Caleb?
Chair,
Oh,
Yes.
Yep. The
Chair,
reason.
if we could specify the reasons that we're going into executive session. We have listed them on our agenda. But if we could add that into the oral motion.
I don't get what you're asking.
You should,
If
okay,
if the person who is making the motion to move into executive session can read what's on the agenda for a reason for going into executive session.
Yeah, we have items. Do you want each item listed?
No, I just want to clarify that you are going into executive session to consider matters affecting privacy, and in order to consult with your attorney, and that we may be moving into an adjudicatory session pursuant to HRS 92-6.
So moved.
Caleb,
Okay,
do
a second?
you want that statement made by a member?
Sure, yes.
Oh,
I'll go ahead and move that we transition into an executive session, which allows us to consider the evaluation, dismissal, or disciplining of an officer or employee of the county, and also to consult with our attorney on questions and issues pertaining to the board's powers, duties, privileges, immunities, and liabilities. And having the ability to convene an adjudicatory session pursuant to HRS section 92.6.
second,
okay. Okay, let's call for a vote. Raise your hand, please, for yes. Okay, we got 6, motion passed, 6-0. So, right, going into old business. Do I need to state the time and the date for the executive session now?
Chair,
We have to move.
we need a few minutes so I can move everyone out of the room and physically go
Okay.
and lock the doors.
All right.
So we'll come back at 1 o'clock.
Yes, welcome back to the regular session of the Maui Board of Ethics meeting on November 25th, excuse me. Okay, so anyway, we're back in regular session. So let's vote on executive session items. Michael, do you have those information?
I'll report the action items. 5A1, we voted 6-0, denying reconsideration. 5A2, we voted 6-0 to consolidate 5A2 and 5B4. Those are the complaints 2410 and
It'd
2413.
be 5B5.
Yes.
5B, did I say 5B5? Excuse me. We consolidated 5A2 and 5B5.
And if I can just chime in really quickly, I am recusing myself, and our department is recusing itself from consideration and advising the board regarding 5A2, which is complaint 24-10, as well as complaint number 24-13.
And because of that, we voted 6-0 that 5A2 and 5B5, that is complaints 2410 and 2413, be deferred until the staffing issue is resolved. 5B1, we voted 6-0 to decline an opinion. 5B2, we voted 6-0 denying the complaint. 5B3, we voted 6-0 to set the matter for informal hearing. 5B4, we voted 6-0 denying the complaint. 5B5 was consolidated with 5A2. And on 5B6, we voted 6-0 acknowledging receipt. And we voted 6-0 to exit executive session and go into regular session.
Okay, any questions regarding those?
I guess, and I move that the board vote that was the decisions made. Need a
Okay.
second?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
Yeah.
I second.
Please vote. All hands. I see 6 hands. Motion passed. Okay, so next meeting date and time, December 11, 2024 at 12:30 p.m. And that will be at the Planning Department Conference Office. Mike Lilly will be taking my place as I will be attending the Chicago conference in LA. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I make the motion
Second.
to adjourn.
Okay, let's vote to adjourn. Okay, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, we are adjourned.
Have a
Thanks,
nice
everybody.
Thanksgiving, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Thank
Good
you.
job, Chair.
All right, thank you very much.